I recently had the privilege of spending some time with Orthodox woodcarver, symbolist, and YouTuber Jonathan Pageau. We had some great conversations together, and he graciously agreed to sit down with me for an interview. I'm going to be releasing episodes from this interview over the next weeks and months, so please subscribe below to get notified when a new video becomes available.
Orthodox liturgical art did receive quite a bit of a hit, let's say, a baseball bat in the 19th and the 20th century, to a point where it had almost vanished, not quite, but it had really been diminished quite, because of communism, because of totalitarian states, because of because of the wars, because of the movements. There was so much happening, in the last few centuries in those countries, that liturgical art had greatly diminished. And in the 20th century, the late 20th century, let's say, since the 1960s, 70s, 80s, it's growing. We are going through this revival of liturgical art. And so I'm actually, in terms of icon carving, I'm actually part of what we would call the first generation of icon carvers. And so there was no way to learn icon carving because there were no icon carvers, or there were very few. I learned iconology. I studied with Father Stephen Bigham, who's an expert in iconology. And I did take one icon painting class, when I was trying to figure all of this out. But in terms of actually the technical skill of carving, I had to figure it out on my own, and then try to connect with other icon carvers who were practicing at the same time. And so I was able to, at a distance, to connect with Serbian icon carvers who guided me through my first carvings, connect with someone like Aidan Hart, who's in Britain, who was able to guide me through my carvings, and hopefully to arrive at a point where we are able, kind of together as a community, to reestablish this language of the carved icon. And it's only now today, I'm giving icon carving workshops, and other people are doing that as well. I think that it's now, hopefully, the next generation will have a less hard of a time to do that, and they'll be reestablishing a normal line of carver to apprentice to become a carver and create a more normal line, let's say. But my story has been a little more convoluted, let's say. I would say, in terms of art itself, for sure, the first advice is to be part of the church, and to have, to be in the life of the church, at least somehow, to go to confession, to participate in liturgy. You have to be part of the church. But I think in terms of art itself, I would say learn to draw. You have to learn to draw. One of the problems with liturgical artists is sometimes they come at it totally as non-artists. They just learn to become icon painters. You have to develop a skill. It's like playing a musical instrument. You have to learn to draw. And so you can take drawing classes, you can take life drawing classes, you can take all kinds of drawing classes which will develop that skill in you. And the skill of drawing is as much a skill of seeing as it is a skill of making. And so to learn to see like an artist, to see patterns, to see form, and to be able to see your own work for what it is, that's really important. And then after that, in terms of icon painting, I would say to try to find teachers. It's not that easy to do, but there are workshops which move around, that you can take, these kind of week-long workshops. They're not ideal because they're set up in mostly for amateurs who want to do this in their spare time. But if you put in the work, this is what I noticed, and I noticed that in my own life trying to becoming an icon carver. If you put in the work, if you draw, if you paint, if you carve, if you make the objects, and you make and you show that you're actually engaged, you will find a teacher that will be willing to give you time and will, because we're actually, professional liturgical artists are actually very excited to see someone who's putting in the time and really, you know, putting in the sweat needed to become a liturgical artist. And so if I see a carver that I notice is on his own in his house carving, trying to figure things out, oh my goodness, I will critique your work. I will engage with you, because we actually want more liturgical artists to come up and transform culture. So I would say mostly put your heart into it, I would say, and then a teacher will hopefully appear. You can always go to Russia or go to Greece and then study formally, but that's not for everyone. It's not easy to do that, but it is possible to do that. There are schools now in Orthodox countries in which you can study in university to become a liturgical artist. So ultimately that might be in the future, or maybe even now, that might be the way that it's going. But there are other ways as well.
Hi again. I hope you enjoyed this episode from my interview with Jonathan Pageau. Again, please subscribe to get notified when new episodes become available. And also, if you would, please leave a comment in the comment section below, letting me know what you thought of this video. Thanks, have a great weekend, and see you next week.